All right, welcome back, everybody. We're going to try this shit one more time with OBS. And I got to get my camera all redone. It's not even close. Yeah, it's going to have to do for right now. I'm about done with StreamYard. That's twice, and I'm not going to be paying $25 a month for some piece of shit that ain't going to work. So, it is what it is. I'm just not going to be that person, that's all. There's no link in OBS, buddy. Sorry. There is no link. Only StreamYard, I had that ability to bring other people on screen with me. With OBS, it's just a single person streaming. All right. Went through a whole lot of stuff there. I know y'all couldn't hear me. For those of you watching this on demand later on, we tried it on StreamYard, and yeah, it's like made by 2K, I guess. I don't know. They couldn't hear. They could hear all the audio except me. I'm presuming you guys can hear me right now, right? Let me know you can hear me. Thank you, Wesley. Yeah, we did pretty well around here so far as damage and stuff like that. We have been flooded. I cannot believe. I mean, my street's been fine. And it's just like when I get out and move around the neighborhood a little bit or try to go to work. Yesterday I couldn't get to work. No matter which road I tried to take out of my subdivision, I was met with a wall of water that was not going to let my vehicle pass. So, and you hear me good. So it's not my microphone. It's not my mixer. It is fucking StreamYard. It has nothing to do with my end. And it's the second damn time. So I just sent them a pretty nasty review. Every time you get off of StreamYard, it wants to know how it did. And I told them straight up, I'm getting my money back. I am not paying $25 a month for that service. It's just not worth it. All right, that said, a couple of things. I was showing the T-shirt that I'm currently wearing. It's a little bit harder on this camera, but hold on a second. That is the new Joe Doring shirt, which you can get at shopimpact.com. I believe it's shop. It's either that or Impact Shop. No, shopimpact.com. So I highly recommend that you go check it out. It's $30, and all that money goes straight to Joe Doring. If you don't know, Joe Doring has, in the past, dealt with brain cancer. He beat it. The doctors told him when he was being treated for it that you're never going to wrestle again. They were wrong about that because he did come back. Recently wrestled Josh Alexander for the world title in a pretty impressive match. And he's got the cancer again, so he's fighting it again. We're all hoping that he comes back and gets back in the ring in a year or so once he beats it. But in the meantime, there are going to be costly expenses, as we all know. So when you purchase this shirt, I want you to know that all $30 of your money goes straight to Joe Doring. There's nothing being kept by Impact Wrestling or the producers. This is something Impact Wrestling is just doing to try and help this guy. So if you have the means and you have the ability, go to shopimpact.com. It comes right up on the cover page. You can't hardly miss it. And whatever you can contribute, I know would be greatly appreciated. Ancient Clown, nice to be heard. So again, if you guys are hearing me, I've done nothing other than switch to OBS. So the thing about StreamYard, and we can compare and contrast, and let me bring the music level down a little bit because that's getting a little on my nerves. We can compare and contrast because now I've had a little time. The only advantage with StreamYard, in my opinion, is the ability to bring multiple people onto your stream. That's it. That is it. There is no other advantage. The day OBS gets to that level where you can have 3-4 people on a stream, with StreamYard, they can go up to 10. Who the hell would try that? It's a mess. You got people talking over each other, which is a horrible scenario. Forget it. 3 is, I think, max. You'd be pushing it with 4. But that's it. So the day OBS gets to that point where they can bring multiple people on, then StreamYard is dead because OBS is free. Hello? And I do think they're going to get there. And as soon as they do, that's it. But anyway, I'm not going to keep paying $25 a month. This is the second time I've had this happen. The first time I thought I knew what the problem was. Like I had maybe had a mistake because I had OBS open. I forgot I had it open. And I thought that the two programs were fighting over the microphone. And I ended that stream and went back and restarted it, and it worked all fine. This time, OBS was not open. Now, could I restart the stream? new with StreamYard and have it work? Probably. But fuck if I'm going to do that. I'm paying $25 a month. It needs to work when I start it. That simple. So that's where I'm at with it. I'll find out when my subscription for the month runs out. I don't remember what day I started my subscription on, but I'm going to take my credit card off of there because I'll use it up for whatever's left. And unless they're going to offer me a credit or something, which I highly doubt, they'd have to show me some really good faith customer service at this point in time. Speaking of which, before we jump into this, customer service is the message of the day for me right now, and I've only been home for, an hour and a half. I spent over 45 minutes on the phone with the nice folks at CarMax, and I'm being very sarcastic when I say that, because the fine folks at CarMax have been fucking up. This is the second car I've had with them, paid the first one off, this one's almost paid off. I always pay more than what's due, so I'm months ahead in my payment. This way, if I have a rough month with a lot of bills coming in on the credit card and I want to pay it off, I can skip my car payment. That said, all of a sudden I get this warning message while I'm food shopping today that if I don't pay $600, I'm going to be in all kinds of shit and they might repossess my car. I'm like, what the fuck? But I'm in the middle of the store. I ain't got time to go back over my bank statements and everything, even though I know I pay all my bills on the 10th of the month. That's my habit. I go back, I pay the $600 right there in the store over the phone, come back, and now I'm going through all my stuff because I also keep screenshots of every payment I make because fuckers do this. And sure as hell, there's payments I'm paying. 2 months ago, $500. I only owed them $180. Paid them $500. Next month, I paid them $200. I owed them nothing because I was paid in advance. But there's another $200. So I'm way ahead. And I get this smarmy little fucker on the phone who's trying to tell me that there's a fee for this, there's a fee. What fees? I'm paid in advance. And when he finally started, because now I have dates and payments and I'm throwing them right at him, and then all of a sudden he's got nothing to go on. And this is when I'm calling him out now. It's like, this is the second time y'all are pulling this bullshit on me. I said, I can't, it's not good enough that I make my payments. Now I got to sit around and go back and see if y'all are doing your fucking jobs or if you're drinking on the job. And he looks at, over the phone, he says to me, okay. I said, that's the wrong fucking answer. I said, if I got to sit here and teach you customer service, you're in the wrong job, pal. Well, I didn't mean okay that way. I mean, what do you want me to say? Oh, here's an idea. I apologize for our gross incompetence. So he ends up getting a supervisor on the phone. She's no brighter than him. Because as we go around in circles, mind you, they're talking about some service charges that come along and whatever, and I agreed to just add them at the end of the payments. So when I'm done paying off the car, there'll be one last payment for these extra fees. Well, they keep saying all this money I've been paying, that somebody in accounting's been applying it towards the fees, not the car payment. And I'm like, who the fuck? You're the ones that offered it to me. I was going to pay the whole car off at one point in time. But I figured, what's the point? You get in a wreck and all of a sudden you're out that money. Let the insurance company eat it. Anyway, that all said, the second bitch on the phone now gets to that point where she says, okay. And I said, well, damn it, you're no wonder the other guy's an idiot. You're an idiot. I said, you're saying okay. That's the wrong answer. And she hung up on me. But that's because they were supposed to be done at 6, and I kept her on the phone longer. I didn't know that. I would have kept her on longer anyway, just because you're going to fuck with me, I'm going to fuck with you. And they're not open until Monday. Monday when I call back, because, long story short, right? I told them she's making comments on my file so that people won't keep doing that again. I said, I need a copy of that, because I've already had 2 conversations with you people, and nothing's getting done. We can't give you a copy of anything. It's my fucking account you can't give me. When the guy called me in the beginning, he asked me if I am me. Now, I don't know who he is. He hasn't identified himself. Is this so-and-so? I said, I don't know. Who are you? Well, I can only talk to you if you're so-and-so. I said, but I don't know who you are. This is phone etiquette. You have to identify who you are. I'm not calling you. You're calling me. Well, for security purposes, I can't. Oh, I said, what are you, the FBI? What fucking security are you? I said, dude, I could tell you I am so-and-so. I'm Vince McSham. I can tell you that. What do you know? Are you telling me you are? Yeah, I'm Vince McSham. Sure, I'm telling you that. Okay, well, I need to discuss this. Oh, well, I'm not really Vince McSham. I lied to you. It's the stupidest fucking thing. Don't use CarMax. That's really where I'm going with this. Don't use CarMax. Yeah, John, $25 is definitely too much for that. That's the other thing, too. All right, so one of the other things, I'd be able to click on a comment and it would pop up on screen and that kind of thing. There are a couple of little things about them that are okay. There's so many things about them that are not as good as OBS already. And the little things aren't good enough for me. If I could have 3 or 4 guests on OBS, I would not even be looking at StreamYard because the little tiny differences that they offer, like popping up a comment on screen and things like that, nah, not worth the money. Not worth the money. All right, let's get into what we're here for. April 1985 PWI. It's going to be a little tougher again, but I'll do the best I can. You got the WWE title turmoil. We've got Diesel before he was Big Daddy Cool. He had just beat Bob Backlund at Madison Square Garden in record time. And we've got Bull Nakano. She had just taken out Alundra Blaze for the WWF Women's Championship. That would later end up in a garbage can, but that's a story for another day. John, it is crazy. It's crazy that people are putting up with this bullshit, and they got the wrong fucker, man. I don't put up with that. I don't at all, man. And I tell you, the whole time I was wishing I would have recorded the conversation. But Monday, I will be recording every bit of that motherfucker, and I will play it back right here on the Nation Network so you guys can learn a little thing about how CarMax works and how I works. And I'm so glad I kept that bitch past her clock out time. All right, in the opening page, we got the Hulk Hogan Hotline. I wonder how much money that shit made. Pull it back a little bit. Yeah, that'll help. I'm also working my lighting here so it doesn't have too much of a glare, I hope. See, without having multiple people in the studio live, then doing the game version of this is, like, impossible. Which I kind of like doing the game version. We're getting better at that as time goes by. We have the Between the Falls, different events that took place during the time frame of the writing of this one. In this case, we got Hulk Hogan on the stretcher, which I believe, let me find out. Well, no, he was in WCW at this time. This was when Kevin Sullivan and I think it was the Three Faces of Fear at that time. It was before it was the Dungeon. Had taken out Hogan. Let me see if I can read this. Yeah, this was after Clash of the Champions, looks like 28. Yeah, he got laid out, apparently, and it looks like it might have been back when Brutus Beefcake was there as Zodiac, or maybe before he was Zodiac, but he was there. I know, but I liked having the pop-up conference, especially when it was relating to what we were talking about at the time, and it was just a nice way of, spotlighting things like that. I thought it was a nice tool. It is a nice tool. Well, good is it if you can't hear me talking to you, though? How do you respond to nothing? When this is done, I might jump on StreamYard again real quick for a minute just to see if the audio fixes itself, in which case, like I said, I'm done. I can't get 10 minutes into a stream and know it's not working. The Booty Man. Yeah, but the Booty Man was a baby face, John. So I don't know if that would have been who laid him out. I mean, it was him. But I think he might have been in a different character at that point. He might have come back already as Zodiac. Was he something in between the two? They destroyed Brutus in WCW, man. Every damn gimmick. They should have stuck with the Booty Man. He could have made that work. All right, we have The Ringside by Bill Apter here. Let me check. Hold on. I might be able to do something different here. Hold on a minute. Think. It hurts. It's been a long week. It's going to be another long week. Not there. Already in that. Oh, I know what I can try. Hold on. All right. A little bit different here, but it'll be a little easier, I think, for you guys to see this stuff. So once again, we've got this Bill Apter written segment called Ringside. They're showing Big Daddy Cool. Now, you have to remember, he had just beat Bob Backlund very soon prior to this thing going to print. So we've got some stories here where he's on the rise, and then we've got another one coming up here where he is the new champion. So there was a definite crossover here that made it tight. But they were talking about the fact that he had been feuding with Scott Hall, that he was chasing the WWF Championship, and that after that long battle for the Intercontinental title, would Scott Hall be a contender for the world title if he were to win it, which, of course, he would then go on to do. Let's see what else we got here. We got In Focus, which was another feature of the magazine, if anyone's not familiar with that. Let's go here. And one of the things that they talk about in Focus is Diesel and the winning of the World Championship from Mr. Bob Backlund. But then they talk about what is the state of the WWF right now if Howard Finkel versus Harvey Wimpleman is a main event at many house shows. Good argument to be made, because seriously, it was, and that's pretty sad. We've got Win, Lose, or Draw. Another column that was being written. This one features the total package Lex Luger. And again, this all leads us up to our top 10s. There's a lot of Diesel in this damn thing. This was the Steel Cage Report, which again shows Big Daddy Cool Diesel. Over here we've got, I believe this is him as, what's his name there? Oh, what was his WCW gimmick? I'm drawing a blank now, but he's with Harley Race. Vinny Vegas. But again, he's getting a ton of press at this point in time. He's like half the magazine. Here's one. Off the top rope. Some of you will recognize that guy, perhaps. That is the Spellbinder. And he was a mainstay for a while in USWA with Jerry Lawler and Brian Christopher and Bill Dundee. He wasn't like a top guy. He was probably a mid-card guy, but he had an interesting act. You know, kind of a magician type thing and a little bit of a mime thing going on. And he wasn't bad. He was a decent talent, but I don't think he ever went much higher than that. We get to our color spread coming up here. Interesting concept. Talk about fantasy booking, right? Dusty versus Dustin. Feud for Thought. That's a great name for a show, isn't it? Feud for Thought. I like that so much, I think we're going to have a show for it. And it goes on to talk about what could happen between, Dusty and his son. And there's a whole pictorial of different things going on at the time between Dusty and Arn Anderson, the bunkhouse buck, and the feud with Dustin, and different scenarios of how things could go awry. Kind of like Ray and Dom, I suppose. Oh, this is kind of cool here. Chris Candido as the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Which I believe that was about the time they were trying to get the NWA title merged with ECW, and we all know how that turned out. And if not, again, that's a story for another time. But it was a good one. Here we go. Big Daddy Cool Diesel. Diesel dazed. Why he can't handle the pressure of being the WWF champ. And again, here is a very rare photograph of Bob Backlund with the WWF title as opposed to the WWF title, because he only held it for about 2 weeks. I'd have to look up the exact timeline on that, but he beat Bret the Hitman Hart at, I want to say, Survivor Series, and then at Madison Square Garden about 2 weeks later, dropped it in record-breaking time. Don't even know if he had another title defense other than that or prior to that. And on the very next page, this is how last minute this title change was. What's next, Mr. Backlund? Because you beat Bret Hart, became the world champion, but the page ahead shows what's next. It's not even timeline order. At least keep it in progression. Ancient Clown agrees with the feud for thought. Yeah, I'm totally stealing that. I got dibs. Here's another one here. We got Bull Nakano, and it's called Bulldozed. Her and Alundra had some really good matches. That was back, when women weren't allowed to have great matches. They weren't allowed to do all that cool stuff. They wrestled like men, which was a no-no back then. Next page, we got some cool color shots of some of the different stuff Bull Nakano was doing in the ring at the time. And I believe some of that stuff was from overseas. It might have been a mix, but that's her against Alundra Blaze. And yeah, it is. There's some Japanese stuff going on there. I can tell by the ring post. Going back to what we talked about earlier with Hogan getting pummeled and carried out on a stretcher, we see John Tenta the Shark doing a number on him here. That was one of the faces, not Faces of Fear, I think they were going by at that time. Again, this was before they became the Dungeon of Doom, which was a much better name, by the way. Here we got Hogan and Kevin Sullivan, the Games Master, the Taskmaster, the Masturbator, all those things. If there's a master, he's it. And then we get to, of course, our centerfold. Sabu. The maniacal, the homicidal, the genocidal Sabu. And he is the feature here in the magazine. At this point, we have our close-up with Sabu. We got some different shots of Sabu in action that show why he was chosen as a centerfold star of the month there. And then over here, hell freezes over. Jim Cornette manages the Rock and Roll Express when they both had their full head of hair. There was still a little bit of rock and roll left in him at that point in time. One of my favorite spots. The Arena Reports. I loved these so much, man. I cannot tell you. I read every single one of them. Even though a lot of it was repetitive, I did not care. I just read every one of them to see what I missed at other places and what was happening in other places. Let's pull one out here at random. I'm not wearing my glasses. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge. Florida, Jacksonville. I like it already. It was Clash of the Champions. We're not going to do that. Georgia, the Warner Robins. Peach State Wrestling. All right, I'll bite. Billy Black wrestled Scott Armstrong in a time limit draw. Jerry Lawler beat Jake Roberts by disqualification. Big surprise there, right? Bambi and Candy Divine and the Amazon Queen. It doesn't say anything. Oh, I'm sorry. It was a tag team match. Bambi and Candy Divine beat the Amazon Queen and Gorgeous George. I don't know. The way it's written is very poor. No, because Gorgeous George III, I remember that. That was terrible. That was such a bad. It was basically a replica of Gorgeous George, but in the '95, that wasn't going to fly. But he beat Scott Studd. I don't remember Scott Studd. Anybody else remember who Scott Studd was? Anyway, he got beat by Gorgeous George III, which I do recall. Matter of fact, he was, I think, also USWA. Rick Steiner had a win over Dick Slater. That would have probably been a good match. By disqualification. All their matches are ending in DQ. The Blazers, I have no idea who they were. The Blazers defeated Steve Lawler and Shaska Watley. Yeah, I don't know who some of those people are, but I would read all those things, and there's a bunch more. Oh, there's pages of it. Jesus. This would have been a good day to have our competition. We have the press conference, which actually features a little cartoon. I forgot to do the cartoons here. See if we can get that in. Sticking his finger in this guy's stomach. I don't know if I'd do that. Between the Falls, recapping some other action from around the world. We've got the ringside, which has got a nice shot. It's black and white, unfortunately. It'd be nicer if it were color. With Eddie Guerrero. And then some hardcore antics taking place there. From the desk of one of my least favorite memories of professional wrestling, Doink and Dink. That was about when I turned off the channel and went straight to ECW and nothing else at the time. Tom Watts collection in the house. What's happening, man? No, sir. Normally, earlier tonight, we tried to stream this the proper way, which would have been on StreamYard, where we can have guests come in and compete. However, StreamYard decided to go say fuck you and would not allow my audio on the microphone to come across, even though it's working perfectly fine on OBS right now. When this stream is done, I'm going to jump back onto it to see if it works, in which case it's totally their fault. I already know it's their fault because everything here works fine. I used it the other day. It worked fine. I've changed nothing. I've updated nothing. There's no reason for it not to work other than StreamYard sucks. So what we normally do, though, sir, to answer your question, is we'll have a competition once we get to the end of the magazine, which we're almost at. And that's when we get to the top 10 lists in different promotions, the most popular top 10, the least popular top 10, the tag team top 10, and we will have people competing for points by coming up with the correct answer the fastest. Not necessarily the fastest, I take that back, but having the most correct points. So we've already crowned a champion, and then last week we crowned a new champion, and we might have been able to try it again this week, except StreamYard said, nah, not going to do it. Scouting report, another one I forgot about. This is where they would basically talk to you about who's hot in different promotions, and you got everything there from the Honky Tonk Man to King Kong Bundy. Over here we got Bret the Hitman Hart and Earthquake or Shark or John Tenta, whatever name he had at the moment. There's one thing about WCW, boy, they would just gut a wrestler by just throwing so many things on him. And we've got our top 10s and everything here. I think I'm going to save this magazine for another day because it has so, between having the arena reports and the top 10, this is a good one to use for competition purposes. And this is another thing that they started doing at this point in time, maybe a little earlier than 95, but not much. And that was the Wrestling Inquirer, which would be like the last couple of pages. And it was kind of done as a newspaper type format. And it looked basically like the cover of a real newspaper. In this case, Big Van Vader demands a match against Hulk Hogan, claims the WCW champion has ducked him for months, which he probably did. Funk seeks a shot at the NWA title. Didn't he have a shot at the NWA title on multiple occasions? Harlem Heat, I did the right thing. Sorry, Helen Hart. Helen Hart says I did the right thing, so I'm trying to remember. She probably screwed over somebody. The loser gets the WWA Junior Heavyweight belt. I almost want to read through that just to see what that was all about. And then some back issues, and of course, the PWI hotline. So, for the most part, that was April of 1995 in the PWI world. That's a good magazine. It's got a lot of information in it. Again, I love the arena reports, and that was like 2.5 pages of arena reports. So that's really well done there. And again, this is all before we had the internet, so this is the only way you got this information back in the day. All right. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to end this stream right now. I'm going to jump right back on with StreamYard to see if you can hear me now. Can you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? If you can, and if we can get at least 2 people in the studio to jump in, then we can do the competition portion of this program. The other thing that's good about StreamYard that OBS does not offer on its own, and yes, there are other workarounds for it, but it's more work than it's worth to me. StreamYard simplified this, and that is that I was able to stream on YouTube and Twitch simultaneously. And I had a Twitch account for a long, long time, and I haven't used it in 2 years. So I thought this was a good opportunity to start putting some content back on the Twitch channel. It doesn't get a lot of views right now. It's all good. I mean, if I was to put it under like WWE 2K22, it would definitely get more views. But to do that, I would have to be streaming with OBS directly to them and them alone. It's not letting me do it quite that way. Restream is what I was referring to. Yes, it is a doable thing with Restream, and I did look into it. There's a little bit of bells and whistles that go along with getting it to go, and they also wanted some information that I just wasn't comfortable sharing with them. I'm kind of protective of my channels, you know, and who has access to them. But yeah, Restream is definitely an option, and I'm not saying I'm not considering it, but it's something I'm just not comfortable with right this moment. And again, if it were bearing fruit on the Twitch side, I might reconsider it. But right now, Twitch is kind of on the down. It really has taken a hit lately. YouTube has come up with a 70-30% for streamers that are monetized. Doesn't affect me. I'm not. But I'm just saying I'm capable of being monetized, but then I have to, you know, everything have to be copyright free. I can't use any of the musics in the videos, and that's just not the product that I want to put out. So I forego any ability to collect revenue from my videos. That said, from what I was reading, Twitch is not giving that split, or they have recently come around to doing it, but everyone's like, well, fuck you. YouTube's already been doing it. And YouTube has just started, I guess, recently. Those, if you see, YouTube has these little short videos, generally run 30 seconds to a minute, maybe long. Those were not able to be monetized. Now they are. So they are drawing in a ton of content creators, and Twitch is losing a ton of content creators. Kind of the same thing as we started out talking with CarMax. You don't take care of your customers go somewhere else. Now you want to go back in time and say, oh, I'm sorry about that, let me make it up to you. No, it's a little too late now. You had a chance to do the right thing. Just saying. A lot of companies are learning this lesson slowly, Disney. But when you mess with the customers and you don't give them the product you promised to give them, like gay Star Wars, for example, you lose your base. All right. I want to thank you guys for joining me here. I'm going to be off for a few seconds. I'm going to jump back onto that other mess, and we're going to see if it works. And if it works, we'll try the game version of PWI and see if we can crown an interim champion, or maybe the champ will be able to show up and defend his title, although I don't think so based on what he told me. Matter of fact, I know he won't because he's at a live wrestling event tonight. All right. We're going to disappear for just a brief moment, and then we're going to come back. And all will be, we'll see. I'm not going to say all will be good because I don't want to lie to you. but we'll see. All right, guys, take it easy. I'll see you in a little bit.